What up YouTube, this is Freshwater Aquatics, and I'm just going to give you a little species spotlight on the Zig Zag Eel. I have two in this tank, and they do look a little different, but they're not known to be sexed, so I can't tell if they are male and female, or just a different gene passed through them and they look a little different. I am doing this video and feeding just to show them fully out, because they are primarily nocturnal predators. So yeah, alright. Minimum tank size is about 40 to 50, but 60 is best, and always bigger is better. So I have them in my 20-gallon right now, but I will be switching them to my 55 once they get a tad bit bigger. And there are no growth defects or anything wrong with them of that nature. Averaging out about 7 inches, some smaller, some bigger, but one of the smallest eels you can get for fresh water. They are a species of eel called spiny eels, so they are not a true freshwater, or they are not a true eel. They are a freshwater eel, but yeah. There's a couple spiny eels, some a little larger, but mostly the same size. This is the smallest one, and quite frankly, my favorite. Alright. These are carnivores, but you might see them eat some flakes or pellets here and there, or train them to be. I feed them bloodworms and brine shrimp, but they typically go crazy over bloodworms. They require a temperature of 75 to 82. That's pretty wide. That's for most tropical fish, so not too different in that field. A pH about 7.8 to 8.2, so I have it perfect at exactly 7. I do use a product for that, so it's probably not naturally like that where I live, but I do use a cheap product, and it works perfectly. Typically these will be sold at PetSmart. I'll talk a little more on that later, and Live Aquaria, and maybe some local fish stores here and there. I just want to point out that there are these fish that kind of look like eels. Alright, I bought one of mine at PetSmart. It was labeled as a peacock eel, which, if you don't know, is another spiny eel. And I was primarily interested in spiny eels for a long time, and peacock eels were my first interest. At this time, I did not even know spiny eels existed. But because I love fish, I wanted to expand on eels, and I typically like little slithering worms more than anything. So I kind of wanted to get more of these. So I did a little more research on them, and then I got my 55-gallon, knowing that I could get bigger fish. Only spiny eels, though, unless there's like a cool, rare new one that just came out. Off that topic. So I looked at many spiny eels. The two that I noticed that I could get for my 55 eventually were Zig Zag and peacock eel. Once I realized that these guys were not peacock eels, this is the one I got from PetSmart labeled as a peacock eel, that these are not peacock eels. They are Zig Zag eels. Zig Zag yellow-tailed eels, or Zig Zag eels, whatever you want to call them, but they are not peacock eels. PetSmart labeled them as peacock eels, and I don't know if it's just a PetSmart near me that actually does not have peacock eels, or it's every PetSmart that is labeled it wrong. I don't have the only fact I have is that they look like Zig Zag eels, and the darker one I got See if I can get a good picture of it. In there. You cannot see that. Yeah, kind of. Alright, that one was labeled as a zigzag eel at my local fish store. Shout out. Something's fishing in Memphis. And it looks exactly like that one. Maybe a different or darker colors, but again, I'm not able to sex them just because of the... I don't know. There's no information on sexing them, so yeah. I don't think they're different sexes, but I don't know for sure. And just judging that they're different, or they're so similar looking, it's a zigzag eel, and PetSmart has labeled them wrong. I'm actually kind of glad that I got them instead of a peacock eel, just because they're a little smaller, and in my opinion, I think they look a little better. These fish, I would not say they're aggressive, but maybe they'll pick at a fish. They'll probably definitely eat a fish that could fit in their mouth, but I wouldn't say they're just going to go around picking at every fish. So I would mark them semi-aggressive to peaceful. I have seen this big one go after my smaller ones, or smaller one, a couple times, but nothing too big, and they've seemed to get along a little better. Yeah, alright. Thank you for watching. Any questions, comments? Just leave them down. Alright. Please like and subscribe.